So this is a conversation I had with ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT what is perplexity score, and it explained to me what it is. And then I asked what's the difference between that and the temperature of a large language model. I actually misspelled language model. But anyway, and as you can see in the response, it says, as mentioned earlier. That means that ChatGPT actually remembered that I already asked this question and it's already explained to me what is perplexity score. So it didn't talk that much about it. So that is called context. What ChatGPT remembers from previous discussions is actually a very important feature which is not intrinsic in neural network. ChatGPT is a neural network model. So this is another 5 minutes video explaining neural networks. And neural networks is a bunch of nodes that connect together, and the weight of these nodes describes that from the input that your question, what output that the answer comes. And these weights are fixed, they are not changing. They change only if you train the model or fine-tune the model. And we don't fine-tune or train it anytime you ask a question. So how does this work? The way it works is that every time you ask this question, what we send to ChatGPT is not actually this question, is this question plus this question and probably the answer of that, and maybe this question and so on. So every time you ask that, they actually attach previous stuff to it. So it knows that it's part of a discussion, it's not a standalone question. The length of all of these is the context size. So this is called context, and how many tokens or words we can fit into that context is called context size. So the concept of context and its size for large language models are very important. Imagine that the model doesn't have any context, or the context length is 0. Then the model doesn't remember anything. The model is stateless. Every time you ask a question is just like a completely new question. For the model to remember, you have to change the weights, and that means that you have to train it. And training these large language models, or even fine-tuning them, are very expensive. For example, the initial training of GPT-4 cost more than $100 million. On the other hand, if we have a long enough context, we can ask computer to do something that is not even trained on. So for example, here you can ask a model to convert from English to French, and then give some examples, and the model know what to do. This is called zero-shot learning. And in fact, it has been observed that models who are not trained on a specific language, but they were able to translate to that language.